When you study for the GMAT, what are the issues that you need to consider? Number one, your deadline. By when do you need that score? Number two, what is your objective? What is the score that you want to achieve? If you're aiming for a top school, you have to aim for at least the 90th percentile. Number three, what is your current score? So if you're just starting off, take a practice test. And that practice test is going to determine how much time you need to put in to prepare and how difficult it is going to be for you to actually get that 90th percentile score. So if your objective is a 645 or a 655, which is the general requirement for top schools, and you're currently scoring anything less than a 565, a 555, you're not going to get the 645 in less than 6 months. Anybody who tells you otherwise is not being honest. And then you need to consider your educational background. If you studied engineering, if you studied law, mathematics, maybe you have a better shot at hitting that score in 6 months or less. Then you have to consider the hours that you have to put in to prepare per week. Now, here's some advice. Don't plan to prepare for more than 15 to 20 hours per week. It is unrealistic, because preparation requires rest and you need time to digest and process all the ideas and the skills that you're trying to rehearse. And then you need to pick a time in your life when everything is in order, where your schedule is predictable, where work is under control, and your family life is under control, because during 3 to 5 months when you prepare, you're going to be under a lot of pressure and you need to focus and you need to build and sustain momentum. This is very important. Now, what do you do if you're very far away from your score? Do you just construct a very long plan, for example, a 1-year plan? That is not really very helpful. What you need to do instead is break down your goal into smaller goals. If you've decided that you probably need 1 year to achieve the score that you want, then break that down into sprints, 3 to 4 sprints during a year. And during every one of those sprints, you're going to be working on skills that are important for the GMAT. For example, do you have to build the foundation? Do you have to improve your understanding of the concepts? Do you have to improve your reading comprehension? Do you have to improve your reasoning? Do you have to improve how you visualize information and express it in an equation? These are all very different skills that you need, that are required to focus on at different phases of your preparation. So if you're very far away from your objective and your score is relatively low, maybe in the first sprint, you have to focus on foundational concepts, on the basics. In math, solving linear equations, adding fractions, multiplying fractions, doing basic percents, that's what you have to focus on. And the way for you to determine whether you're that case is the following. If you struggle to solve a linear equation, if you have to think deeply about the rules and what you actually do as you're solving a linear equation, then your foundations are probably not strong enough and you need to focus that first sprint on foundations. But obviously, when you're in that sprint, you don't only want to focus on foundational exercises, you also want to experience GMAT questions, because what you're trying to do is create a balance. You're trying to improve your foundations, but also learn how to apply those skills within the context of a GMAT question. And it's going to take a balancing effort of working on extra material that is not specifically GMAT material that is necessary to improve your ability to solve GMAT questions. And so perhaps the ratio would be 60 to 70% foundational material and then 30% GMAT material. And then maybe when you work on the second sprint, you focus more on GMAT questions, more on test prep related material. And then in the last sprint, maybe you focus on exclusively GMAT material. This is going to be a balancing act. It's going to be a little bit tricky because the progress is not linear. So how people react to preparation and how they respond to drilling a lot of questions is different. And so you need to give yourself the time to see that progress. And that progress is not going to be linear. It's going to take a few trials. And what you need to do, therefore, is create the conditions necessary that improve the odds that you actually get that score. Sometimes people make progress faster than they expect, and sometimes slower than they expect or prefer. But it is what it is. So what's very important when you study for the GMAT is to understand how far away from your score so that you can construct a plan that addresses these skills that you need to improve at each specific phase as you try to improve from the lower scores to the average scores to the top scores. Do not believe in wild success stories or guarantees. If there were guarantees, then there would be no test prep industry.